Hello everyone, this is Nnamonah. I'm here today with Dr. Ola, and I will be interviewing her about loss of culture within the Nigerian community due to experiences in the diaspora. Let's get started.
So I'm Olaocha Nwabara, and Olaocha is not like a common anymore name. It's my great grandmother's name. My dad named me after his maternal grandmother. I'm Igbo, Igbo Kwenu, proudly, and from Abia State. That's where we hail from Umuaya. And educational background.
Yes.
Well, the comedian Gina Yashire said there are four choices for the child of a Nigerian immigrant for the work: doctor, lawyer, engineer, disgrace to the family. And for a long time, I was four. I got a job in business, and my family was so happy. Like, finally, this child, we don't know which way she was going to go, but she got a job. And then I was like, this is not what I want to do. And so I became a rowing coach. And I didn't tell them. I quit the job. I got the rowing, and I'm the Ada, and the first daughter. It was a lot. But then I also did a master's in communications while I was coaching. So I went to Purdue for undergrad and Grand Valley State University for the master's where I was coaching. And I had a chance to teach in two departments, in the communication department and the liberal studies department, so humanities and social sciences. So I was teaching in these two departments. So then I applied for a PhD. I applied in multiple departments, but then I met another Igbo woman who was the director of an African American African Studies program. I didn't know that I could do that, and now I'm a scholar of Black and African Studies. I look at African culture, literature, I look at our identities, I look at how, we have grown, how we've transformed, how we've kept our culture in the diaspora, in America. First of all, my mother spoke Igbo to us. I'm so grateful. I think that to know your language means that you understand, you have the blueprints of your culture. But I have certain things I tell people when I'm there. I go to Nigeria every year. And so I tell them when they want to come here, I help them how I can. But I say, no matter what you do, speak your language to your children. When they're born here, they'll have an American accent. They're going to speak English because that's the world they live in. But without the language, you strip from them an attachment to culture that they're always going to be fighting to maintain. As a scholar now of African cultures and spirituality, I understand that even the way we speak, our vibrations are powerful. To hear things in Igbo, the way it comes out of our mouth and the way that it lands on the next person, is powerful, that English can't carry. But I also want to speak positively, right? Because look, we have these organizations and we do it better than any other African group, period. As Africans, as Africans, as Nigerians, as Igbos, we do it better than any group. Other groups want to join us. So in my community, we had the Nigerian organization and we had the Pan-African organization, which was mostly Nigerians, and then our non-Nigerian friends who wanted to come and hang out with us,
Yeah.
So we do it well. So I don't want to take away from the fact that all the cultures, especially Igbos and Yorubas, but definitely others, we have a pride about ourselves, and I didn't know they carry less, that has really carried over the last 400 years in this land, that people are still pulling and drawing from our cultures from then and what they have learned now. And Daddy and Mommy took us back to Nigeria whenever they could. Daddy was a medical doctor, Mommy is an accountant, and so we have five of us kids, and of course they're taking care of so many uncles and father, or their own parents, but every 4 years they would take us all to Nigeria. And I see a difference between those of us who went to Nigeria and those who didn't. So with the loss of culture, I have cousins who've never been to Nigeria. I've never been to Igbo land. They have never seen their grandparents' graves. I've seen all my grandparents and my great-grandparents' graves. That means something, to go there and to acknowledge them. And in my head, I can see all those places. As long as I'm here, I can still see all the places they are. And I think that means something. It's in our compound. And again, I'm a child of Nigerian immigrants. I'm not an immigrant myself, but I would say that we have to try to get our kids home. So I lead study abroad home, and I take not just Nigerians, Africans, Black people to Africa. That's part of what I do at the university. I'm trying to create it outside of there. Anyone who said, any cousin who says, I want to go to Nigeria, I said, no problem. When are we going? And as if you go in the summer, I'll go with you. Like, I will find anywhere, I'll break my back to get people home and try to get them a home that they can feel comfortable to go back to. Because there's one is our parents' home and what they miss and what they want to see. But then as we become adults, there's a version of home we want, we don't know yet. So then it becomes important for us to figure out that version of home, because like the cycle of life, if we are lucky, our parents will go before us, long when we're older, right? Mm-hmm. But we always want the parents to go before the children. So if that's the case, and we're lucky and blessed to have that to be the case, then what does it mean for us to make sure that we still have connections to Nigeria? And if our parents are scaring us away from going to Nigeria, then we're going to be completely a lost generation in a few generations. And I don't know the other way I can say it, because right now I live my life to, maintain our culture the best way I can. And as a scholar, I can never touch or scratch the level of someone who grew up there. Yeah. So that's why I continue to go back, because as much as I have this PhD, my elders and my peers and even the youth will school me on Igbo culture. And I take it because I didn't grow up there. I have mommy and daddy's Igbo. But to go to Nigeria and to be in Igbo land means you have your whole community's Igbo, and that's far more lush and powerful than only two peoples. But at least those two people helped me to get there. So I see a big difference between those of us who speak the language, those of us who go back to Nigeria, those of us whose parents were cooking Igbo food, those of us who went to Nigerian organizations, and the other. I think that the less we share our culture back to our youth, we don't know what it's going to look like in our lifetime. It'll be a few years, and then they'll be African American, and that'll be our fault. Those who are African American here is because of the slave trade. Mm-hmm. We will have made our children African American because we refuse to tell them about home. Yeah. There's the one where answered in the long answer. Yeah. Colonialism. Yes. I'm like, colonialism ended in 1960, and now it's our own problem. It's our own fault. Mm-hmm. Colonialism ended in 1960, but first of all, slavery ended in, I should know, but I don't, 18 something, right? Yeah. And then the idea was like, the way we remember in history is like, okay, slavery ended. They knew it was bad. That's not what it was. They found another way to make their money. Yeah. And that was through colonialism. So it was a shift. Yeah. 14 countries, including the US and all of you in Europe, have this scramble for Africa. They sit and they meet and they discuss and say, okay, now how do we continue to collect this money now that it is no longer popular to own Africans as slaves? Yes. And so then they shifted to colonialism. I think it's so important because it's usually seen as like this kind of revelation, and I definitely believe that the end of slave trade happened because a lot of people who were enslaved, your Harriet Tubmans, Frederick Douglass, Harriet Jacobs, hundreds, I think up to thousands of enslaved Africans who freed themselves wrote their story. Because it was that propaganda who says, oh, they're happy, they need us, they need to be enslaved, slavery is great for them. Yeah. But it was the story of the black man who had freed themselves that changed the world narrative about slavery. Mm-hmm. And then it was the altruistic white person who was like, no, this is messed up. And that's how that ended, but that capital continued. Yeah. And so now we're starting to see plantations on the African continent. We don't always talk about those things when we talk about colonialism. We do talk about loss of culture and the stripping of culture and the applying of, when they applied, European institutions, it wasn't like they're going to create, nothing against UNN, or Ibadan and these schools. These are great schools. But they never were trying to create it the way they created Oxford. Yeah. You know, the original versions of these were created only as much as they could get enough knowledge to maintain the systems that Europe put on the African continent in order to extract our resources and take it back.
Yeah.
It wasn't because they cared about us.
Yeah.
We have made it something else, the best we can, considering the corruption of our current state.
Yeah.
So that's slavery to colonialism. But the thing that I didn't know until I got into grad school, into my PhD program, was to understand that colonialism never ended. It just changed. The king changed clothes.
Yeah.
It went from white rulers to black rulers who are being paid by white rulers to remain idiocracy.
Yeah.
These people we call these stupid presidents, we know a few of them. The Yoruba is Ori, Igbo is Chi. That Chi is our deep connection to God. Chinua Achebe, I'm gonna put Chinua Achebe first, right? He said it, so don't look at little Ola. Look at big Chinua Achebe. He wrote about Chi na Eke, Chi not further, Chi na Eke, the Chi and the Eke. So the British came and looking to see, oh, how do we understand God? What's our name for God? All right, so we have Chukwu, we have Chineke, right? But what Achebe is trying to tell us is that actually it has deeper meaning, because with African cultures, things don't mean just one thing, it means multiple. It's also our individual connection to our world. Our Igbo cosmology is that each person has their Chi and their Eke. Their Chi is, we know the Chi, we understand that, like, okay, you know, you must follow yourself, follow your spirit, follow follow yourself. God is the one who determines which way you're supposed to go, so follow.
Yeah.
But Eke is like that, if Chi is like your noun, Eke is like your verb, is that driving force to your destiny.
Yeah.
But then beyond that, that's learning your history, that each of us gets to determine how we make sense of it, engage your culture, and find ways that the youth are interested in it. They may not like to do the same things you want to do. And I think you should speak your language to your kids. You gotta speak, man. Man, it hurts not to know it, like how to speak. It hurts. And my mom tried. It's not even her fault. She spoke, my first language is Igbo. It was these schools. So you have to know that these schools can be bullying your children away from their culture. So you have to also think like that. The Black Americans know this stuff already. They know that their children are going to be bullied away from who they are. So they give them not just who this is your culture, but this is how you maintain your culture in a space that wants you to forget it. Yeah. So we have to be more like intentional about that.
Yeah.
And if you can, take your kids home and get them around people their age, who are maybe like not just the village kids. I'm sorry. That's good too, but you need, like now I'm going and I'm talking to artists and professionals who are my age. So I'm seeing a different Nigeria, one that I can feel safe in, and that my mom is no longer calling me every night to make sure I'm alive, Yeah. So find the peers who are in the same kind of space, that way they can start to engage Nigeria on their own, because they need to have their own Nigeria. They won't survive in your Nigeria because it's two different worlds, Yeah. And when you go, if you're not there to guide them through the Nigeria that is yours, they have to have their own, so that once you go, they're still willing to engage Nigeria. Yeah. Those are my thoughts.
If your child they grow, water him go use.
I remember in the 80s and 90s, you wouldn't be able to get Gary in America. You couldn't get a Gary in America. Mm-hmm. No, girl. No. We were eating, it was like mashed potatoes, like whatever you could get, something. You had to bring stockfish over, you know what I'm saying? And goosey. And definitely with Nigerians, once you find someone is there, you feel comfortable to go there. And so then when we build these communities larger, and then we find business in bringing, things back and forth. Growing up, people be like, oh, what's that smell? Stockfish. And I'm like, embarrassed because, I don't know how to speak for myself.
Yeah. But
now I have peers, youth, like my mentees who are in high school, say, can you make me a goosey soup? Where did you find out about a goosey soup? TikTok?
Yes.
You know what? Yes, I will make you a goosey soup. You will try our soup. And I love it so good. because we are telling our story in different areas, whether it's us little people, or those of us who've made it into the limelight. We are proudly expressing our culture, and now people want to be Nigerian.
If water kill your child, now water